I love Ethereum. They're consistent. They are consistently the employee of the month for Cardano. No one, and I mean no one, does more to show the world the beauty and excellence of our Cardano ecosystem. From the bottom of my heart, thank you, Ethereum. Ready? Let's go. Today, we are going to discuss Ethereum once again being daddy's best little helper, DC Spark making some progress on the Milkomeda sidechain, and if my explanations of the Tricoin system behind the Djed stablecoin have all been terrible and incomprehensible, because who knows, maybe they were, you can finally now get a better explanation directly from the pros at IOHK. They've done it again. An Ethereum-based DeFi platform has managed to lose an incredible amount of money once again. Before we cover this, every time we look at some topic like this, there's always someone complaining, "Why are you making fun of the Ethereum people? They just lost all their money." Listen, you want to highlight things like this. You don't want to sweep this kind of stuff under the rug. It's unacceptable that this much money is being lost in crypto. I mean, look at this. When we get to the end of this article, we're going to find out this will bring the total amount of funds stolen in DeFi attacks above 500 million. Above 500 million. We're talking about $500 million. $500 million, guys. This is too much. This is too much. It makes crypto look bad. This makes us all look bad when this much money is lost. We don't want to remain silent about this and let this lurk in the shadows and be something we don't talk about. When this happens, we should talk about it. And it's going to happen in Cardano too. We are going to have attacks like this where crazy amounts of money get stolen in Cardano, but the frequency and magnitude at which this is happening in Ethereum is unacceptable. This is too much. The hope is that we can do better in Cardano. So I think this is worth talking about. I feel bad for the people that lost their money, but this is not something that we should not talk about because we are worried we're going to hurt their feelings, the people who lost the money, or hurt Ethereum's feelings, or that it's like, you know, somehow bad to highlight this. Like, it's actually good. We need to highlight this because there's got to be a better way. So what we found out was that Cream Finance has confirmed, according to this article, the theft of $130 million worth of tokens. So this was a flash loan attack, and Cream has been hacked for 130 million, 92 million stolen into one address and 23 million into another. The funds stolen were Cream LP tokens, liquidity provision tokens, and other ERC20 tokens. Looks like you get these Cream LP tokens when you deposit funds into the Cream pool. So this is not really a giant surprise to see this kind of thing happening. We've seen this happen over and over and over again. But the interesting thing here is that this is the third largest DeFi hack in history, 130 million. The crazy number to me is this $500 million number. We've now had $500 million lost. It's kind of wild because you think about it and you're like, well, you know, these are people who, you know, people are going to make the argument that people understand there's a risk when you engage in these like semi-exotic arrangements in DeFi, and there's a possibility of being hacked, and people should recognize that risk. But we've had $500 million worth of crypto move into the hands of criminals. You could argue that code is law and that, you know, maybe these aren't criminal acts. You know, some people are in that camp and they're like, nope, exploits are a function, not a bug. But if you're one of the people who lost this money, you're not going to say that's a feature. You're not going to say that's a feature. You're going to say this is a bug. This is a crime. This is a crime if you're one of these people that just lost part of that 130 million, especially if it's a lot of money. Because I mean, let's face it. Everybody knows they should only be willing to invest what they're willing to lose, and especially if they're investing into something that could be a lobster trap like this. But it turns out taking your Ethereum tokens, turning them into Cream LP tokens was indeed a lobster trap of sorts. Not on the part, the lobstermen were not the Cream guys, it looks like, according to what we know right now, but in fact, these attackers who exploited the platform through this flash loan. But nonetheless, it turned out to be a lobster trap. Like I said, there will be attacks and exploits in Cardano, and amounts of money will be lost that will make us unhappy. We won't be happy about these attacks and exploits happening. But let's face it, Ethereum smart contracts are written in Solidity. Cardano smart contracts are going to be written in Plutus, which is a subset of Haskell. If you had to pick which one of those is probably going to produce more secure smart contracts, it's very hard to make a case for Solidity as, on average, the average Solidity contract being as secure as a well-written Haskell smart contract. And you could say maybe I'm comparing apples to oranges there, and that there are ways to write secure Solidity smart contracts. Sure. But if we just look at the languages and we ask ourselves, which one is more likely to be secure? Which one is going to, especially the way we're going to do it in Cardano, we have this formally verifiable language we're using. And we're also setting up this smart contract institute that can certify the smart contracts. Are those more likely to be more secure, or is what's happening in Ethereum with Solidity more likely to create a secure environment for your crypto to hang out? I think just logically you can distinguish between those two environments, and the empirical evidence, the actual amount of money that's being lost in Ethereum, tells the same story. Guys, when I say that Ethereum is the employee of the month at Cardano, I mean they really pulled out all the stops. On top of a platform in the ecosystem losing $130 million, you also have stuff like this going on. Here, someone involved with the Ethereum ecosystem is telling us, hey, you have exactly 12 hours to update your ETH staking nodes before the Altar upgrade. Inactivity penalties will commence in 12 hours for those who do not upgrade. So if you're familiar with Cardano, you know that we have these like hard fork combinator events and these like painless upgrades. You just kind of like upgrade your node, no big deal. Nobody loses any money. That's not how Casper works. In Casper, over on the Ethereum side, you got inactivity penalties. So you got 12 hours. You got 12 hours to upgrade your node. And if you haven't upgraded in 12 hours, you got to think about inactivity penalties. Down here, we have a pretty standard response from somebody who's obviously running an Ethereum node. He says, my validator node is at my parents' place. What do I have to do now? AOL hilariously responded, the penalties will commence. It's like, put your hand in the green box. Fear is the mind killer. But that is not very comforting to Jimmy up here. Jimmy, if he can't get to his parents' place in the allotted 12 hours, he's got to think about inactivity penalties. And this is the problem. I've kind of like jokingly called this like intellectually lazy. It's super obvious and easy. You're trying to create a protocol that prevents malicious behavior. It's super easy to come up with this idea. Hey, if you do anything malicious, we punish you by slashing the coins that are involved with your node validator. And so it's easy to come to that conclusion. At Ethereum, they took this even further. They're like, also, if you're inactive, maybe there's some penalties. Maybe we start slashing if you're inactive. It's really easy to come up with that solution. If you're trying to come up with a solution to prevent malicious behavior and inactivity, super easy. We're going to punish you by slashing your coins. It's much harder to engage with game theory professors and find a more sophisticated means of doing the same thing through game theory that doesn't involve just slashing the coins. I mean, that's how governments have been enforcing good behavior since the beginning of time. We have blockchains now. We can do better. However, if you are just dying to put your hand in the green box like Paul Atreides, I do have some news for you. DC Spark is making progress on the Milkomeda sidechain. You already know this is the sidechain that is Ethereum virtual machine compatible, and you'll be able to use wrapped ADA over there to interact with Ethereum smart contracts that have been deployed on this sidechain. So it looks like they've already been successful in moving ADA from the Cardano testnet to the Milkomeda testnet. They say they are moving on to the Solana testnet next. I kind of think there might be some gateway drug potential here. So if I'm an Ethereum, developer of some kind, I've got some kind of platform I've deployed on Ethereum, and of course I'm fed up with having to deal with all of the problems over there on Ethereum, the fees, failed transactions. We talk about it all the time. You already know about all those things. I would be very tempted to come over to a chain where those things are not the case. A chain where there are low fees and you don't have these failed transactions that still consume the gas fees, all the great things about Cardano. However, the Haskell Plutus thing is probably pretty intimidating to a lot of these Solidity developers. Here's where I think this could be a great gateway drug. They could come over and deploy their projects on the Milkomeda sidechain. And they could actually see like, oh, this is great. There's actually an appetite for this kind of thing over there on Cardano. And, they might find that their platform is performing great on the Milkomeda sidechain. And then maybe eventually they'd be like, hey, maybe we don't need Ethereum at all. Maybe we should just hire some Plutus developers and deploy our stuff over on the Cardano network instead. Of course, this is something that would take a long time, but who knows? Maybe Milkomeda can be that kind of gateway drug for us to sort of lure Ethereum developers over to the sidechain. And then eventually, once they see the Cardano network growing and growing and growing, and maybe the Ethereum network sort of continuing to do the bad things, failed transactions that still consume gas fees, incredibly high gas fees, all those bad things. Maybe eventually this is the little bridge that gets them over here, and then eventually they move all the way into Plutus smart contracts proper. Who knows? Just a thought. IOHK has also dropped a new explainer video all about the Djed stablecoin. We've talked about the sort of tricoin system behind the stablecoin systems like Djed before on this channel. But if you want to hear it directly from the pros, you can go on over to the IOHK YouTube channel and check out their video explanation of exactly how Djed works. I hope you're still having a great week. Don't forget the October edition of Cardano 360 is tomorrow, after which I will talk to you again.